Florabella on my screen, her smile it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene, in the morning or the night. Recipes and good vibes flow, every video a gem. Her confidence it grows and grows, we're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows, she's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow, every video a gem. Her confidence it grows and grows, we're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows, she's where we all belong. Every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows, she's where we all belong.
Petals got power, Florabella stands tall. Every drip, every drop, watch the haters fall. Channel sharp as thorns, ain't taking no mess. Scroll through her feet, feel that queen's finesse. Vines tangle tight, but Flora breaks free. Roots so deep, can't mess with her tree. From the mud she rises, roses from the dirt. Every comment section she lays down hurt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. From the garden green to the concrete wall, Florabella, unstoppable nature's child. Leaves whisper secrets, she's the loudest shout. From the channel buzzing, she never backs out. Seed of strength, through seasons she grows. In the face of doubt, her spirit glows. Cameras ain't a limit, she branches out. Thorns in her crown, she wears it no doubt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless.
Please talk to someone else, cause I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boys. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to bro boy. No, no. I can't talk to bro boy. I can't talk to. That nigga's crazy. Confident bitch and I saw it to be. Snakes in the grass so they harder to see. My brother would give up his life to the O. He told me he'd go be a martyr for me. Said that she ready to corner the six. I hit up Pauline and charter the P. Ain't really leave, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm riding around in Atlanta with Sav, cause that nigga been going harder than me. Nothing to change, I'm just harder to please. Ferrari is making an SUV. We ain't got a choice, we ordering these. Shout out Noel for recording the V's. He know where this shit about to go. Cause nobody touching the flow. They say you alone at the top, but it's gotta be lonely below. You was getting ready to diss, but don't even mention the hoe. And don't even mention the foe, unless you was trying to go broke. Whoa, I got more stripes than Adidas. Yeah, I got the stripes for fucking. I don't chase bitches, I leave them. Hoes screaming like I'm just. I don't get mad, I get even. You niggas like a pussy.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Let me adjust my volume for a non-ghetto stream so you guys can hear me, hear the conversation, hear the videos and streams. If the voice or sound gets overpowering, just let me know. I will shut it off. As a matter of fact, you know what? We don't need this. All right, so I came back to do part 2 because I realized it would make no sense for me to do this topic in one quick stream that was an hour and a half. It's one thing if the videos I showed yesterday were short, but like there was a lot to the stories. You know, just to recap, yesterday we talked about the 14-year-old girl, Naika, who live streamed her own self-deletion. Right, we talked about Odula and her sister Jacqueline, that she actually was responsible for her passing away days before her quinceañera. Right, she was supposed to turn 15 years old and have that party commemorating her age. Right, and then that was pretty much those two that we focused on, and we also talked about the fact that Odula, or whatever the hell her name is, she recently had a second offense after only serving 18 months of her 6-year sentence. So it was a lot. I didn't want to just rush through that because there was a lot to those stories. So the same way that there's a lot to those stories, there's a lot to the stories that we're going to talk about today. So I want to start with the conversation that I began about enmeshment. Okay? This is one of my favorite clinicians or whatever that are on YouTube. Like I think she does a really good job of deciphering some of the misconceptions that people have about different psychological terms. But she's specifically going to talk about enmeshment, codependency, and traumatic bonding, which are a few things that people, I guess, generally tend to use interchangeably. And the reason why we're doing this video is because yesterday I talked about enmeshment, right? I talked about how enmeshment is this concept that developed in families where there's a lack of boundaries, a lack of respect for boundaries. There isn't a clear, defined role of parent and child, right? There's a lot of times there's going to be parentified children. There's going to be adults who have poor boundaries, fluid boundaries, whatever. So that's kind of what we see in enmeshment. And the reason why I use the term enmeshment is because I truly think that a lot of people who may be vulnerable, who are lonely or isolated, the internet might become that family structure for them, right? And this was something, like I said, I was going to pull from my real life experiences in this subject matter, because I do think that I did have some real life experience with somebody who not only was enmeshed with the internet, but had a very inappropriate relationship with the internet and what they shared. There was porous and fluid boundaries. I mean, the internet knew from top to bottom their financials, their personal traumas, and it was just, for me, it screamed enmeshment. But enmeshment is a term that originated in families, right? It was families that had parents and children that had very poor boundaries. There's certain things that are normal in a parent-child relationship, and there's certain things that are crossing the line, right? There's certain things that are normal in a sibling relationship. There are certain things that are crossing the line. So enmeshment is those things that essentially cross the line, but seem sort of innocent. And enmeshment is something that I think grows. It becomes more problematic, right? As people develop, as you grow and learn things or build your own preferences and things, it becomes worse, especially if the enmeshment continues. Let me say hello to everyone here. We have Miss Joanne Jenkins. Hello. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you tonight. We have Daniel Barry. We have Jesse, who is acting like he don't want to be here, but he's here nonetheless. Okay. We have Miss Robin M. Welcome, Robin. We have Joshua, and just our usual good crowd here tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. All right, so I'm talking about this concept of enmeshment, right? This idea that people have very poor, fluid boundaries with inappropriate situations. Joshua says, "Why you always gotta go live when I'm driving home from work?" I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go live consistently because it's been 2 full months, but like since I've gone consistently live, I feel like the algorithm is just kind of like, you think you could just leave and come back? No, ma'am. So I'm trying to kind of build my space in the algorithm again. So bear with me. But specifically, I wanted to come back for a part two of this subject because we didn't touch on every level of this that's going on. Because live stream crimes, I meant to encompass a lot of things. And the reason why enmeshment is so important in what we're talking about is because people often build inappropriate or porous, which kind of just means like a lack thereof of boundaries in points and places, in their lives and with certain relationships. And so, oh, okay, sorry, y'all. I don't know why it was in replace screen sharing with this. Sorry, guys. I was not in demo, which is kind of like what I wanted to be in. Okay. Anyway, so yes, she talks about this concept of enmeshment and being uncomfortably close and intimate with things that are not natural to be that way, right? And the reason why I mentioned enmeshment and people with the internet is because I truly believe that people become dependent on certain things and elements. I'll say this, right? Like when I was with a certain person that's obsessed with the internet, right? Robin M says YouTube needs to just shut certain channels down at this point. People just get on here and live stream whatever. Yes, they live stream themselves going roaming about in the ghetto. Yeah, it's supposed to be a creative outlet, but it's become this like medium for low vibrational people. I mean, yesterday and today, just some of the most low vibrational channels. I'm just gonna say this, guys. I'm not trying to brag or anything. Like, this is not a bragging point for me. But I was live yesterday for an hour and 33 minutes. Okay. And this is why I slowed down on live streaming. But I was live yesterday for an hour and 33 minutes. My video, the views are increasing, but right now it's at like 400 views. Okay. Now imagine an hour, 400 views. To me, that feels kind of low. Feels like I'm still very out of the algorithm. Imagine live streaming for 9 straight hours and you have 1,000 or even 2,000 views and like 100 people like your video. This is the struggle sector. I'm telling you guys. I be watching other, I be watching other people in other sectors, and like one day they be having thousands of views, um, great interaction, like great engagement. Like their watch hours are great because they have like a consistent, regular audience of people who like come there for the content. Like when you live kind of like, I'm not saying I live, but like the amount of time that I've been outside of the algorithm, it's like they spit me back into the ghetto. I'm sorry. It's like they spit me back into the ghetto because the only views, um, A lot of the views are like, I'm not trying to. I appreciate everything that I've gotten from this sector, but it's just, I'm telling y'all, it is not fun being in the ghetto of YouTube. She says your views will go back up. You were gone for a while. You just have to get back into the algorithm. Yeah, that's what it is. Like I was getting frustrated at first, and then I was like, dude, you were gone for like 2 months. Like I was looking at it. Um, it was literally 2 months. I snapped, bro. The way I stayed away, it was just kind of like exhausting, and like coming on here and people like starting drama. I feel like the time away also gave me a better perspective of what I wanted to do on YouTube. Um, so yeah, hopefully you guys bear with me. I'm over here giggling my face off, but seriously, this is really generally the ghetto of YouTube. A lot of what happens in these sectors is like one person streams and then 11,000 people do reactions. And I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired and exhausted of like the ghetto ness. It's one thing for you to put hours into a stream and you get thousands of views. Like that is worth it. That's what made YouTube worth it for me. It was like, okay, I'm putting hours into the stream and I'm getting the same viewership. People are supporting the channel like it was growing, building on its own. But then like life kind of took its way, like life was a little bit more interesting, and I fell off on it, and then I got frustrated when I did try to come back a little bit. When you're out for 2 months, your channel like falls out of any new algorithms. So I'm just trying to get back into that. Hopefully you guys are along for the ride. Robin says, when you leave the sector and come back over here, I feel so dirty. I'm telling you, it is ghetto. It's ghetto over here. But I'm only saying that because I do feel like, a lot of the times there's some sectors and algorithms that you'll always be in. Like I truly am starting to believe that, and I think that has to do with the fact that like when I do stop live streaming, when I come back, like it's always because even before I came back recently and got all like the more recent views, it was kind of like, okay, I wasn't live streaming that much, but I was doing crime content. People were liking it. It was becoming a little bit more popular. I was getting the viewership, so it was nice to like get the views, get the new people here in the chat. Um, like this is the Skid Row sector. Yo, Robin, tell me why the bandit was calling out for you today. Yo, the bandit was like, Robin, is Robin gonna come back and tell her to divorce me? Divorce me? I was like, why don't you leave Robin? Robin don't want nothing to do with your black ass. Hey, Black Beauty. I'm only being a little messy today. Like most of the conversation that I'm doing is going to focus on live streaming and how people become enmeshed with the internet. But I'm going to play this video for you guys. And I did want to just let a few people come in here. So don't think my ADD is so bad that I forgot I was playing a video. But I wanted to circle back to this idea of enmeshment, right? It's an idea that originated with families and dysfunction in families that has a lot to do with intimacy and the inappropriateness of it when it's applied to other contexts within a family. So let me play this video, guys. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe, support the channel, become a member. Membership tab is about to be busting. Robin says, Flora, I haven't been on that channel in nearly 6 months. Robin, that person was crying out for you today. He said, where's Robin? Robin not going to tell her to sign the papers. Man, it was so weird, guys. 10 p.m. last night. Mind you, I don't talk to this person. They're blocked on 100 numbers that they've called me from. Why is this person calling me at 10 p.m. from an unknown number, which I believe was that little group home they're living in on certain days? Call me from an unknown number. And I'm like, who the fuck is this? And then they're like, James. I'm like, yo, click. Didn't even say nothing. It's like, yo, you're calling me at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. I wake up at 5 something in the morning. To me, this was OD. Like to be calling at that time, and then to find out what it was for, anyways. And then today to call me again from a different number. Yeah, like he don't give up, Black Beauty. It don't matter who tells him. Like he's just gonna keep doing that dumb shit, and then he's gonna say, "Oh, um, my page was set up on automatic membership." Okay, so why is it that between now November and June 2025, your account didn't do any automatic payments until today, till recently, which was June 15th that it went through? Why is it that it took 6 months to go automatic? No, it's because this dude be messy, bored. He got nothing going on his channel. He wants to start referencing me. Now I saw videos over there. This dude talking about, um, old girl gonna come back here, move in. That's why I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to get a divorce because the girl that he done busted her head up. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at her. I'm just like, how do you see the situation that I went through and be like, yeah, I'm gonna come move in with this nigga? I don't believe it, but it's like, anyways, Robin said, Joshua, I miss some of y'all. I know they miss you over there. And that's the thing, like, enmeshment is not on each person that's involved. It's not necessarily like every person is devious or weird. Like, I do believe to an extent that a lot of people who used to follow Jay Prince got very enmeshed with him and his children and their story and what they're going through, because that man didn't have no boundaries online. He would show y'all everything, tell y'all everything. People were airing out what his children were going through psychologically. I mean, they were airing out court business. I mean, this is a greater level of enmeshment where like some of you guys don't really have a choice in how much you're being pulled into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no choice to some degree, especially when people see children involved and things like that. And enmeshment is a dangerous thing within families. Imagine becoming enmeshed with strangers, people you don't even know, people you don't know what their real intentions are, but somehow they've connected with you, they're attached to you. You know, I do think that like the bandit is enmeshed with a lot of people he doesn't know. You know, for to hear him calling out, "Oh, Robin M this," or Fatty, "Oh, he set this all up from Portugal." They just happen to be from the similar countries. Fatty's the one who set it up. Like, to be that delusional. He said he isn't going to do anything else with the food truck until the divorce. He thinks you want to take him from. So Black Beauty, here's the thing about Wisconsin. And I'm going to share this with you guys because this is what has bothered me, right? If we would have went about this in a healthy way, um, and he would have been like, okay, like, you don't want to be with me, I'm gonna file divorce, right? But legally, I cannot file divorce because I don't have residency in Wisconsin, right? So what I would have had to do was go move there, establish residency, and then divorce, right? Or do the divorce proceedings from Rhode Island, which would require an attorney. I cannot just file paperwork from my house like the bandit in question can do. The bandit in question could literally file paper from his house, go to the courthouse, which is 10 minutes from where the fuck he lives. Sorry, guys. Which is 10 minutes from where he lives. File it. They will grant his bitch ass a divorce in 4 months. And this will be completely done. The problem is, for me to initiate divorce, I would have to convince him to file because he's in that state, or get an attorney and do it from Rhode Island, which again requires money. Yes, I'm gainfully employed, but it took a while for me to have a really good job. I have a job now that actually pays, so it would be free to me to be legally divorced from Rhode Island, right? Without having to get the established residency or basically convince him to file, right? Somebody who's blaspheming me on the internet, who's defaming my character, who's talking down on me. You think I'm gonna sit here on the phone with you and get you to file divorce for us and it's all gonna be gravy? Maybe before you got on the internet and talk shit about me. But if this person would have let me leave and just call me and be like, okay, this is over. It's about my kids. I want to get a divorce so I can move on. I would have literally been like, okay, it's cool. Let's do this from here, because legally I cannot file a divorce from here because I'm not a resident there. I can't meet the service needs from out of state, right? Because I can't prove that from out of state. I can try to do like special booking or whatever, but again, you guys can see there, you have to either be a resident or move there to become a resident, or get that person to do it for you. Y'all think that I trust that bitch ass nigga to do anything legally related Robin says, "You are a year removed from." I'm a year removed. I can't file. I'm literally hands tied without a lawyer. I cannot do it without an attorney myself because I would have to file from here because I either would have to get him to do the paperwork in the right way and be like, okay, we both we both want to get a divorce. Let's file this together. Let's pay the 200. Blah blah blah. Do all that. Like we're not even on talking terms. This man still goes online trying to defame my character, play videos out of context to when he's baited me into arguing with him. Has literally antagonized me for hours on end in his house, and he exposes his children happily to all this. Did y'all notice he was laid up in the bed with his kid? Playing this video of him antagonizing me screaming, obviously looking traumatized. You know what's so funny is that like there are women in this sector who are so obsessed with, oh, women can do it too, women can do it too, that they'll sit in the face of those men and be like, oh, look at her, oh, she's at fault too. Y'all are both, she should have chose better. They'll use the same talking points of dusty males and sit there egging stuff like this on. Like I have no interest in any of these sectors. Everybody outside of the supporters who be in these Section 8 sectors till today are ghetto. They don't have no way to evolve as creators. That's why they have to be attached to this mess. But I legally, from where I'm at, without an attorney, cannot divorce him. I have to literally figure out how to do it from Rhode Island. It's a complicated process. And even then, there's a 4-month waiting period. Yeah, I live in another state. This people don't care. Like they're gonna tell me it costs more. That bitch ass nigga, if he really, really wanted to, can file it today, right? Today is 6/24, 25. If he wanted to, he can file everything, serve it to me, send it to me, mail, regular mail. It'll come to me in a couple days. I'll sign that shit, send it back to him, and we can be divorced by, hold on, it's June 24th. October 28th. If this man was interested in not defaming my character, not harassing me, not recording conversations without my consent, because that's why he posted that shit on your wall, on his wall. Oh, in this state, this is not a two-party state. We don't need two people's consent. Because you know what he does all the time to everybody, even people who trust him, is record the conversations out of context, obviously, and then try to use it against people. Then you got other struggle content creators monkey branching off of an already failed live stream by reviewing it. Let me get Tyreek Block out of here, or Tyreek whatever Patrick out of here. He can get out of here. It's the same rinse and repeat cycle. Oh yeah, it's the same stuff. Like you guys seen DJ Witch Doctor reviewing this, right? They're in his chat. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm sorry to tell you, I think Jay Prince is special needs, right? And that's saying a lot about me, right? You married somebody with special needs. Y'all can judge me however you need to. But I'm starting to see, I think he's special needs. So when people go into his chat and they tell him, oh, yeah, she's using you for she wants your food truck, like that. He doesn't understand that they're trolling him, making fun of him and being like, oh, you're so pathetic. He doesn't get that. He thinks those people are actually laughing with him. So when DJ Witch Doctor and all these, what do you call these people? These leeches who have no content, who go in review content from somebody who's obviously on the spectrum, obviously slow. Like, and I'm not trying to say slow because he's on the spectrum, but I'm saying he's on the spectrum and he's also slow. Right? It has nothing to do with being on the spectrum that he's slow. That's a separate condition. But he'd be on there just saying anything. Like really. And people will review that to egg his head up. Robin, I'm not trying to say those exact things. I don't want to say that because I feel like it's almost insulting to people who have that condition, because I feel like a lot of what he does and says is purposefully obtuse. Like he purposefully acts and sounds dumb because he thinks that's what people want to see. And when you're just like a stupid person who just does stuff out of attention, that's what you're going to do. You're going to react what you think people are reacting off of. But yeah, there's people who see him doing that type of content. Oh, they be in the chat now. I saw DJ Witch Doctor in his chat the other day. Oh, talking about, oh yeah, she trying to, oh yeah, see you right. Oh yeah, you real right. So are you saying J Princess has asked relentless? You have to get off of the internet. You don't have no class. You weren't raised right. A lot of y'all weren't raised right because the way y'all be in these chats talking about people, y'all were not raised right. Okay, like I make jokes, but y'all go far. You guys go to hell. So, anyways, like I said, I can't legally divorce this person. They would have to do it, or I would have to hire an attorney to do it from Rhode Island. Which again, I have to be back here for a year because it can easily be proven. They'd be like, "Well, you got married in Wisconsin, so that means you established your residency to be in Wisconsin," which I did at one point, right? And it's only been November since I've been there. So for me to have residency again in Rhode Island, I have to be here for a year. This is things that stupid, illiterate, degenerate bandits they don't understand, right? I'm literally trapped. Literally trapped. I have to get an attorney. Luckily, my job covers that. They have a lot of benefits, including like therapy and other things to the employees, which to me would be free of charge. Relentless says he has the paperwork. He don't have no damn paperwork unless he filed that shit today, which I wouldn't get it today. He don't have no paperwork. Robin M says a lot of these people have undiagnosed mental. He's been diagnosed. He just chose to ignore his diagnoses. I mean, at one point, okay, so guys, I didn't want to have to defame Jay Prince, but he keeps going online talking about me. So I'm not necessarily defaming him. I'm just telling the truth. But so he did this bizarre thing. He called the ambulance for chest pains. And I told him, like, why would you call the ambulance for that? Like, you seem fine. Nothing's wrong with you. And he's like, oh, no, no, no. I got to go. I got to go. I don't have a doctor. I don't get an appointment. They're not going to see me right away. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but you got to go to the doctor. You got to go to the doctor and get a whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get treatment. You got to see a PCP. Somebody got to be following you, especially if you have, you know, diabetes, or at his time it was hypertension. Oh no, this dude don't want to see a doctor. So anyways, fast forward, the ambulance comes, takes him to the hospital, and this guy's in the hospital acting crazy. He's like, oh, go in there, get a box of gloves. Go in there, put these towels in the backpack. And I was like, yo. Now you guys can judge me however you need to. Oh, you're stupid. You would marry somebody who's like, a lot of what I did, which I'm not going to say that I'm benevolent. I think I was trying to be. I think it was ego based. That's why I did a lot of what I did. But a lot of what I did had to do with the fact that he had minor children that were relying on him. And when he would put himself in these situations where the children would be in the hospital with him and he's like faking that he has something wrong with him. Obviously, all the hospitals laugh. Knows he has nothing wrong with him, so they don't come in that room for hours. They sit in there. He stuffs his backpack. He stuffs his backpack with towels, gloves for us to use at the car. Yo, that was the most ghetto existence. When I tell you guys, like, I felt so bad for the children. And in my selfish, benevolent way, I was like, oh no, I gotta help these kids. I came upon them. I gotta do it. I gotta be there for them. When I tell you guys, I'm gonna just say this. When I first got there, when I first got there, this man would be like, oh, this is when I moved there. So when I went and just saw them, everything seemed to be okay. Like, he didn't like appear to be like a complete mess. He had his stuff. He was like a little weird about paying for like Ubers and stuff, but everything else was good. Chakra says, Flora, I can't stand your ass. I'm sorry. But I'm sitting here like reflecting on the situation. I'm like, I have a problem, y'all. I just started therapy again. And like, I know there's something wrong with me. Like, you guys think that I'm sitting here after this situation thinking I'm normal and ready to get into another relationship? You guys are crazy. It doesn't matter if I'm dating or seeing somebody. I know for damn well I need therapy. Oh, what's up, Go? What's up, BYT Go? What is going on? But it's just like, I felt bad for Kendra the most because she actually understands. Yeah, she knows what's going on. She knows what's going on. She's responsible for her siblings to a degree. She takes on a lot of. I'm just gonna say this. She is parentified. Look at BYD go. I'm sorry. That little girl is parentified. I mean, she wakes up, she has to take care of herself. She has to get her sisters up. She has to clean up after her dad, who makes a mess cooking and doing all types of nonsense. She has to clean the house. She has to change diapers because her dad thinks if he changed diapers, he's doing something. I would strenuously advise you not to tell any story about him. Protect yourself. You know what? You're right. You're right, Joanne. I'm going to let all of that go. But I'm just going to say this, okay? I had no control over divorcing this person. I could not, I cannot still, right? The only way that I can legally divorce this person is if we have a conversation, do the paperwork together, and file it, and I serve him like where I could see him getting papers in his hand, all that. It would be a lot of physical labor on me. That's why he keeps trying to be like, oh, you say you want a divorce, you ain't divorce me because it costs money. He wants me to do it, right? Versus he's in the state, he can divorce him. He can divorce me himself. But it's Joanne. This is not something I necessarily want to talk about. But when you have somebody who spends a lot of time online trying to defame your character, putting out misinformation, lying on you, it does make you feel like, oh, I want to tell my side. But the more I see, I understand like it's not worth it. I'm even giving them something to talk about by like addressing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I totally get it. Um, at least you being accountable for that, because girl, listen, there's nothing for me to be accountable, right? Because when I dealt with this person and I suffered the consequences of being with them, that was my accountability, right? There's nothing for me to be accountable, but I do think to some extent, like, yes, I do have to kind of understand where I was coming from with all of this. Like to be with somebody like that would flip like this, who would easily be online and start defaming me and saying all types of things. It's a very tricky thing. But I was talking about enmeshment because I do think that people have become enmeshed with the internet, right? People have become obsessed with getting satisfaction or getting some type of reaction from people. Robin M said it's a baiting tactic. Yeah, it's absolutely meant to bait me, so y'all can go back and forth with content. Exactly. He wants me to get online, go back and forth, argue concepts with him. But what I'm gonna do instead is actually talk about this concept as a whole, right? After this live stream is over, I'm gonna end up pretty much. I'm already knowing Flora. That was the accountability. Oh yeah, listen, chakra. When I tell you the consequences of being with that man was my accountability, nobody else is finna come on here and make me feel like I gotta take accountability anywhere else. The consequences of being with that man, what my reputation has suffered, how my health has suffered, my mental health. Like, I mean, I've already gotten my accountability. So I'm like, when I hear people say that online, I'm just like, ooh. Joanne says, I just don't want you to get in any trouble. Yeah, I won't be in any trouble. Trust me. Um, Everything that's happening right now, um, yeah, everything that's happening right now is just sort of a residual. For me, it's more of just like I'm trying to keep myself away from all of this. But it's like every day something will come up with it. This person, let me tell you that how this person is a weird person. And this is why I said I don't have any new accountability. I don't have any accountability to take other than what I've suffered from at the hands of this person. This person has been calling me and my mother nonstop for weeks at this point, right? He was calling me before I blocked that number. It was calling me before I blocked that number. But this person called my mother in the middle of the night yesterday, was talking about, oh, your daughter, just yelling like a banshee. Called me because I was asleep. I had no idea who I was talking to. So I'm like, hello? And this person's going to say who the hell they are and think I'm not going to click the phone at them at 10 o'clock at night. This person is literally calling, stalking, harassing. He claims, oh, that just happened automatically. Okay, so why hasn't that happened automatically in the 6 months that I have left you? Why did that just happen randomly on the 15th, which is not when they usually take these It's not when they usually take these out, right? The 15th is a Sunday. That's not a day that they usually take out memberships, right? You would have to actually go and purchase a membership. But when I tell you guys that people project, especially narcissistic people project, I'm being serious. They really project. So when he gets on here and says, "Oh, Flora she don't want to let me go," he's talking about himself. He knows damn well I couldn't file without him, right? That's why he got online, talked his shit, swang his nuts, did all that because he knew I couldn't file without him, right? And why would I cooperate with somebody who's defaming my character, who's speaking about me, who's dragging me? I would have to literally beg him to file, right? Or file from my state, which again, you guys saw, it's a complicated process. You cannot do it without having established residency. And in order for me to have gotten married, I had to establish residency in Wisconsin. So unfortunately, there's proof that I had a residency in Wisconsin less than a year ago. So I cannot establish residency in Rhode Island. It's just how it works, at least for a year. I have to have been back for a year. I've been back for 6 months. My hands are tied, literally. I would literally have to go through Rhode Island. And again, I would have to be established, having residency here to do that. But when you're a lame, illiterate bandit who doesn't read, who is anti education, anti intellectualism, and all that, yeah, you're gonna get on here and just lie and talk all types of nonsense. You're gonna air out your own family business. You're gonna expose your children to all types of domestic situations. You're gonna normalize aggression and violence in relationships for your daughters. Yeah, you're gonna do all of that. That's all of what this idiot was doing while I was with them. But it's just to come on here and act like I'm holding on to you. I literally left the state. I haven't been back. I haven't been back since. This it's insane. And you know what really gets to me is that people see me not talking about this person at all. People who used to support me, at least, or who used to come and watch me. I don't know about support. But people who used to watch me, who be in my chat, who had wrenches, things like that, they will go to the same channel and be like, "Oh wow, I didn't know you had this. Oh, this person looks crazy," or be like, "Oh, that looks crazy. This person looks crazy." Da, da, da. They'll talk all types of craziness based off of what they're seeing from that person. And then when you come on here and you show like, "Hey, this is clearly a case of like obsession, like this person can't let go, they can't move on, they don't want to move on, right? They want to keep antagonizing someone." um, it's frustrating for me. It's really frustrating to see that people will play into the antics of somebody who's clearly attention seeking. Yeah, I'm not, Robin, because why would I be? Like, I recently have been being in chats a little bit more, but again, you be in a chat for a few days and then somebody gets sensitive. There was one chat I was in TMBR chat, and I ended up getting blocked recently. And I know it was just somebody who just did it or whatever, but I ended up getting blocked recently, mind you, for calling somebody a bastard. Okay. Meanwhile, somebody called me the B word, called me a hyena, called me all types of names. But it's like when you're in these Section 8 sectors, you have to realize you're not relating to people. You know, it's just dusties. It's dusties and their mammies. You know, it's people who are low, bottom feeding content creators. Relentless. Why would I want dibs on a condemned food truck? I mean, y'all saw the inside of that truck. It's full of junk, old toys, dirty, moldy clothes that was in there. I mean, you guys heard one of his daughters say that they were living in that van at one point. So this is a habitually homeless, broke bandit who's been traumatizing his daughters, living in poverty when he's able bodied. This man is 6'2", 250 pounds. He can't work to support 3 girls. Like, he can do that, but he'd rather subject his children to poverty. And people won't talk about that, but they'll talk about the drama. They'll egg him on to keep sharing his personal business online. I'm sorry, y'all. We got off a little bit, but I needed a little snack for a second. Oh yeah, she said Hamp is cool, but the channel is full red pill. Yeah, and it was going in that direction. I told you guys, it was going in the direction of full red pill because that's what people in these sectors want. Chakra says, "Yep, I be seeing Robin cutting up. Robin is funny as that." Yeah, but they sort of need Robin S, right? Because Robin M is like comedic relief. Everyone else is like, damn, is this person real? Is this degenerate real? But anyways, guys, we got way off course. We're gonna get back on course, and we're gonna hop back into the topic of enmeshment, right? And this is what I said. I was saying that people are with the internet now. Now they're vulnerable and open with the internet in ways that they're not supposed to be. So do me a favor, guys, hit the like, subscribe, share. We're gonna really get into it now.
Hey guys, it's Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the differences between three terms that a lot of people get confused, and they actually use these three terms interchangeably. And I think there's a huge misunderstanding between three very popular and overused terms, and that is codependency, traumatic bonding, and enmeshment. Unfortunately,
I would say like trauma bond is definitely one that gets overused. But I like that she defines each of them. So if you don't know what a traumatic bond really is, now's a good time to listen in. Let's continue.
pop psychology has become so available to society that I will get a host of emails and consultees that come in, individuals that consult with me, or I'll just talk to a lay person and, outside of my field, of course, and they will say things like, I think I'm enmeshed, or I think I'm codependent, or I think I'm trauma bonded. And, there's differences between the terms, and I want to make sure that I give you guys that knowledge so you'll be aware of the differences. I think that there's a lot of people who believe that they're codependent when they really are traumatically bonded to somebody instead because of a trauma history. They're not always necessarily codependent or enmeshed, as we put it. So today we're going to talk about this, and I'm going to separate the two, and I'll mention a couple example stories. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For those who are subscribed and for those who are new, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button right over here. Stick around with us. I welcome you every week, and actually Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays I'll welcome you on my videos. If you're new to the community, welcome. I think it's going to be an educational community for you, and if you have ideas for me, go ahead and send them along, because I like to get your ideas, and I like to actually do videos and give you what you're asking for. So go ahead and subscribe. I welcome you. The benefits for you in today's video is that we're going to talk about the differences, again, the differences between enmeshment and traumatic bonding and codependency. So let's just go ahead and jump in. I'm going to define them for you first. I'll give you examples, and then I'll show you the differences. All right. So codependency, we all know that codependency is basically it's an excessive need for a person, right? It's an excessive emotional and psychological need for the other person to be present in your life. It is also a reciprocal emotional interaction between two people, right? The two individuals are both codependent, or the two individuals have emotional needs, and they fill those emotional needs for each other. The sad part is if the individuals become too close, right, then the codependent partner or spouse in the relationship is going to lose their autonomy. They're also going to lose their independence, and they're also going to find it really hard to make decisions on their own. They always have to have the other person. Think of codependence as a disability, right? What happens is when you become codependent, you rely on the other person in the relationship to do the thinking, to do the cooking, to do the working, to do the...
And I think this is what you would see in like a classic DV relationship, right? I think in general, like codependence is where this woman or person, right? Because it can happen between heterosexual, bisexual, lesbian, all types of relationships where people become codependent. But I do think that like it sort of happens more so when again these two people are both using each other in this weird, excuse me, sort of like inappropriate way, right? Like for a woman to need that man to think for her, that's inappropriate. Whether that's your boyfriend or not, husband or not, your husband, boyfriend should not have to think for you, right? You should have your own independent thoughts and feelings and things like that. And so I think you see this sort of like in like those classic examples of DV where like the man is wanting to think and speak and be for and do everything for the woman, like from the way he wants it done. So, can you guys do me a favor? If you guys see a bandit who is utilizing a channel that has children of his own or anything like that in the chat, and it's hidden, just or it's held by YouTube, just go ahead and hide it. Okay. Um, but what was I saying? I completely got lost by that. Um, I also know he's a narcissist. So who's it? Oh, Doctor Vanin, Sam Vanin. But all right, y'all threw me all the way off. So we're gonna press play because I know it's related to what we're talking about. Oh yes, I would say that the codependent talk and like how it presents, you see that in like classic cases of DV where the guy is like has sort of made the woman believe that like he needs to think for her. As a man, he needs to make a decision. She doesn't really have autonomy in the household, in the family planning in the household. Like I mean, the guy has complete control. And so that's sort of what you see in these codependent situations where they're acting on it. Both of them are like sort of keeping this codependent wheel going. So let's continue though.
Management of things, right? To pick up the slack. And what you tend to do, or the individual who's codependent, is you kind of step back out of the situation and you let the other person take the lead. While, individuals who are codependent who do that, they end up losing their ability to function on their own. So they lose their basic skills. They also lose their cognitive skills because they begin to think and feel like the person they're codependent with. So codependency really is like swallowing a poisonous pill and becoming a totally different person emotionally and psychologically because you've kind of sold your soul.
And this kind of explains to me, this kind of explains why a lot of people, family members, friends, and things like that, they don't recognize a person after they leave or while they're in a DV relationship or this type of relationship where there's like that heavy manipulation, where they're taking on the personality traits, the beliefs, the feelings of their partner. That explains why a lot of people don't see their friends and family the same way, because when you have to adapt psychologically to that extent, yeah, you are going to lose yourself, right? She's talking about you have to sell your soul. To a degree, yes, you have to hand your soul off in exchange to feel and be like that person wants you to be. So you're no longer being your authentic self and you're not presenting your authentic self anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of just, it's one of those situations. But let's hear a little bit more. She's talking about codependency. Let's hear a little bit more. She's going to talk about traumatic bonding and enmeshment. Enmeshment was the term that I talked about yesterday that really relates to families, but I sort of feel like people today on the internet are utilizing the internet similarly to how people should be utilizing their families, right? Sharing these intimate details, airing things out, just ridiculous. So let's continue.
Soul, right? You've given the other person access to the most intimate parts of who you are as a person, and now you can't get out because you're so interwoven. If I'm saying that correctly, right? You're so interconnected. So that's codependency. It's really having an excessive emotional, psychological.
And I like that term that she uses, right? A fusion of identity, right? Where who you are is linked to who that person is fundamentally, right? Who you are has become what they want you to accommodate, right? So you're no longer just you who wakes up and cooks because you want to smell food and you like food and food is fun for you. Now you're the woman who wakes up and has to cook at 6 a.m. because if you don't, your husband's going to be mad that he doesn't have food. Or who the house has to be in tip-top shape by lunchtime when your husband comes home to get a lunch. You know, like literally, so that person has begun to spin their life story around what that person needs from them. Robin said YouTube has become a therapy session for some of these people. Oh yeah, yeah. And you have like, I'm gonna tell you, like I was saying a little while ago, when I was with this person, when I tell you, if I was a degenerate person who my mind was fried and gone and I just wanted money just like this dude, I could have stayed there and continued to milk people to keep sending us money for stupid stuff. That's essentially what he would do. You know how many times MJ and other people, and I don't know if this was like just part of what they do, but they sent hundreds of dollars for hot dogs. And the dude was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna say we gave out hot dogs, but we didn't really give out." Sorry, yeah. He's gonna say we gave out hot dogs, but yeah, we gave out like 20 hot dogs, but we didn't really give out 20 hot dogs, right? It was just things that he was fundamentally doing that would show me that he's a scumbag. But it's more than that. I bet love bombing falls right in there at the beginning. Oh yeah, love bombing is a part of the process. But hold on, guys, give me a second.
Florabella on my screen. Her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power. Spreading her aura.
All right, sorry guys, I had to answer a call really quickly. But yes, it's this idea of fusing an identity, right? That person starts to build their identity off of the wants and needs of the abusive partner, etc. Someone said he was going to start his food truck on June 31st, but wants to wait for you to sign them papers so you don't go after his let out couch food. Let me just tell you guys, if you guys see a device, not a device, if you see a vehicle that's full of junk, moldy clothes, moldy diapers and toys and stuff like that, don't buy food from it. Okay? Don't buy food from it. You know, actually, what's so funny, my mom is a great cook. You know, she makes all of the cultural food like from scratch. But one thing I do differently than my mom is I make American recipes and I put like a twist on it. Like a lot of people tell me my cooking is like kind of southern. So my mom was just asking me about a recipe. And I was literally over here like, look at me. Okay? I know recipes. I'm so good with food. Like that was part of like the reason why I was like, oh, like a food truck sounds like a fun business because I've always loved to cook. I've always been really good at it. Well, not always been really good at it. But when I started practicing, I became very good. And I actually started practicing more because I made some bad meals when I wasn't paying attention, wasn't being as thoughtful. Um, but food has always been one of those fun things. I actually divorced. I would start a food business. I think I would be pretty good at it too. Didn't he say his ice cream truck had bed bugs? That's why I say, Robin, don't buy food from no food truck that you guys see that is full of moldy diapers, toys, clothes. They had a lady saying her ex wouldn't let her drink cranberry juice. It's wild out there. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like, imagine being married or with some bandit who wants to tell you what you can and cannot do while they wake up at 12 o'clock every day, dirty boxers, dirty breath, stinking, don't want to take a shower, wipe their butt from the outside in, like like, you know what I'm saying? Like, one thing is crazy is like for a man who has a daughter who don't teach her that you gotta um chakra love is dancing. All right, we're gonna continue with this video.
You need for somebody, and you need them to help you. You need them to feel good. You need them to think straight. You need them to do things for you, right? It's not, I want you in my life because I love you. It's, I need you in my life because I'm dependent. Okay, so that's codependency. I think it's really important to keep in mind that codependency doesn't always equal love. I think a lot of people think that, you know, if I'm codependent or if I'm dependent on this person, I must be in love, or I must love my mother, or I must love my husband, or I must love my brother, my family. And that's not always the case. I think there's a clear difference between codependency and love. It just takes a keen eye to see those differences. All right. The next one is traumatic bonding. So I'm an internationally certified trauma therapist. So I have a lot of experience.
Okay, she's an internationally certified trauma therapist. I mean, sheesh, tell them. But like, literally, right? Traumatic bonding is one of those things you hear people talking about all the time. Oh, you got a trauma bond. You got a trauma bond. Well, that friend was a trauma bond. Let's hear what traumatic bonding truly is.
Working with individuals in the nation and overseas who are dealing with traumatic bonding and who are looking for experts or specialists to talk to them about it. Traumatic bonding is the whole idea that you become almost lost and confused between the good and the evil side of an abusive person, or of a person who is unhealthy or toxic. So, you know,
So I do think this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I think a lot of times people be like, oh, that friend, that was a trauma bond friendship, that was a trauma bond, that was a trauma bond. Okay, to some extent, yes, I do think a lot of y'all see good in people, in your friends. That's why you keep them around, right? But I do think a lot of the times you guys just be around toxic people. It's not necessarily a trauma bond where you can only see the good that that person's doing. You're not seeing their bad character and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff, like, y'all be going through with y'all quote unquote besties and then be right back at it. You know what I'm saying? So to some extent, I don't think like trauma bonds are as common as people think. I do think it's more common in relationships, where like it's easier to get into that situation. But let me play it back so you guys understand what I mean by that. Can happen when a person experiences alternating periods of positive experience alternating with episodes of abuse, right? And it's easy to do that, especially like, let's say you got an abusive partner and 50% of the time they're romantic, they're loving, they're caring, they're attentive, you guys have sexual chemistry, everything's beautiful. And then the other half of the time, and I'm not saying that my situation was anything like that, I mean, it was like 75% hell, but in some of these situations, 50% of the time, then it goes from romance, love, attentiveness, perfect partner, to abuse, admonishing, judgment, shaming, blaming, all of that. And it's, people become addicted with seeing only the good interactions they have with someone, because they don't want to think, no, look, he's so romantic. When he's romantic with me, he buys me jewelry. He takes me shopping. He gives me self-care days. He pays for my he pays for my bills so that my paycheck can just be for fun, for me to pursue my hobbies. Like, these are things that people, women, men, whatever the case may be, become addicted to because they think that that is just That's who the partner is. They become addicted to those positive parts and every negative. Oh, the same day that he bought you a purse and shoes and let you have a self-care day, he also smashed your head up against a window, right? He also doesn't let you really go out with your friends because if you're out with your friends for more than an hour, he thinks that you are cheating on him. He thinks you're having sex with other people, right? A lot of when it comes to traumatic bonding, people are literally closing their eyes to the negative, and when it comes to positive, that's all they see. They don't see the person for who they really are. All times aren't bad, there are good times. Exactly. Yeah, and it's addictive. It's very addictive, right? This is one thing that people don't get as well. It's not addictive for a person who's been through trauma necessarily. It might be a pattern, but it doesn't mean it's addictive. But it can be addictive, right? You're addicted to that feeling of like you guys are always arguing. There's always tension. There's always building up negativity and then releasing it into positive, right? That's can be addictive to some people, the highs and lows. There's a lot to it. But traumatic bonding is different because you literally as the part of the bond that is traumatic is that you're seeing only the good, right? A similar aspect or trait that you had when you were going through trauma, right? You almost blinded out all the negative in order to see the good so that you could survive, right? That was a survival tactic. But it's the same way. That's where the trauma comes in that bond, right? The same way that you dealt with trauma in the past was just to ignore it, to not acknowledge it, to move on, to pretend, right? That's the same way that you're bonding with your partner, right? You're closing your eyes to everything negative that they're doing, the negative traits that they have, and you're opening your eyes only to the positive, right? Oh, they took you on a romantic trip, right? They paid, let's say they paid for your family to go on a vacation. Let's say they paid your bills for a year. So while you were working all that money you saved up, you were able to open your own business. You were able to invest in yourself. You're able to invest in your education. These are things that abusers do to create traumatic bonds. But because we used to think, oh, trauma bonds those are people that we're attached to because we had toxic relationships just like that when we were kids and da da da. It's not always that, right? Sometimes the traumatic bond is that you're relating to them in the same way that you dealt with people who were abusive to you in the past, right? There are different ways that there are different things about a relationship that create it to be a traumatic bond. But I love the way she breaks it down. She's my favorite. She's one of my favorites. Her name is Tamara Hall, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, Tamara Hill. Sorry. I believe she's Cape Verdean. I love that about her. Like um, she's a multi-dimensional woman in psychiatry, in psychotherapy and things like that. She really, really knows her stuff. So if you guys would like to follow her. Her name is Tamara Hill. She does have a membership. She has a lot of really good topics, but I thought specifically she broke this down perfect. So she's still on traumatic bonds. After this, we're going to talk about enmeshment and what I meant about enmeshment in terms of how it relates to how people use the internet. So let's continue.
About it. Traumatic bonding is the whole idea that you become almost lost and confused between the good and the evil side of an abusive person or of a person who is unhealthy or toxic. So, there's an interplay between the good and the evil, or the good or the bad side of the person. So you kind of get lost in the shuffle. The individual who is unhealthy, toxic, emotionally unstable, enmeshed with you, whatever the case may be, they're going to be good sometimes, but they're also going to be bad sometimes as well. So you begin to develop almost this inability to look at the bad person because you're so zoned in and you're so pulled into the good parts of that person. I'm sure you've seen this in domestic violence relationships or situations where the abused spouse says, he didn't mean it. He snaps out every now and then, but we bounce back. We always do, right? That's kind of minimizing it, and that's kind of zoning in on the good side of the person and you're ignoring the bad side of the person. So traumatic bonding bonding is getting stuck between those two areas, the good and the bad of the person, and you cling to the good as opposed to the bad. And so then you begin to stand up for the individual. You begin to make excuses, minimize. You begin to stonewall and not talk about things. You begin to close up and clam up and shut down in order to still have that relationship, even though you know it's not healthy. And a lot of people do that in families, right? They care nothing about their own health, their own psychological, emotional well-being. They just want to have a family to hang out with. They just want to have a family to go on vacation with.
Yep, that's exactly. And I love how she breaks it down, right? Where a lot of people are like that, right? They don't care about those negative bonds and relationships that they have that they know are unhealthy, because yes, they do want to just be able to say, oh, I have family to go on vacation with. Oh, I have family that's going to be around during the holidays, right? Nobody wants to admit that they can't be around their family because it's an unhealthy bond. Right, that's the last thing anybody wants to get on here and do. But that is essentially what a lot of it is about. So let's continue. I don't want to get off track.
They just want to have a marriage to look good in the community. But you know, these families know behind closed doors.
This is a big one. They just want to have a marriage to look good in the community. This will happen with people across the board, right? Whether it's somebody who wants to have the reputation of being a married man, whether it's somebody who wants to get further in their career. Marriage is something that a lot of people think is a status symbol. And in some communities, it might actually be. Right? It might actually be. But let's continue.
It's a traumatic bond situation where I can't really let go because I'm too zoned in on the good, and I really am trying to minimize the bad parts of that. So that's traumatic bonding. Now, enmeshment sounds similar, but it is not. I like to regard enmeshment as a process where boundaries are porous or fluid.
So if we look at what she has on the screen, right? Enmeshment is a psychological term, that describes a blurring of boundaries between people, typically family members. So it doesn't have to be, but typically it is. Enmeshment often contributes to dysfunction in families and may lead to a lack of autonomy and independence that can become problematic, right? So where I see that enmeshment is happening on the internet is there are people who are becoming addicted and attached to the internet, right? So everything that happens, they need the validity of the internet, right? They need their supporters to validate what it is that they're saying or doing online. They need their supporters to validate their lies, right? They need their supporters to validate the claims that they make about others, right? So it's very easy for boundaries to become blurred when people are sharing personal information with strangers online, especially in like online platforms nowadays. Like you think about a TikTok where a woman can share her everyday life as a stay-at-home mom for a year, and everybody who watches her suddenly feels close to her. They send her money, they support her channel. They financially support her in other ways, maybe not specifically sending money, but maybe they buy a membership, maybe they buy a course. Right? All of that sort of falls into that blurring there, where now, okay, because I support your channel, this is a big one that happens. Because I support your channel, now when you're doing something I don't like, because I support you financially, this is what you see in the struggle sectors a lot. But because I support you financially, now I want you to do what I want you to do. And it also happens in those bigger content creators as well, but it's easier for them to ignore. Right, where you will see a lot of that, like, oh, well, I supported this or I supported that, so now you should do this. Right, but it does, enmeshment leads to a lack of autonomy and independence that can become problematic. If somebody can go online and they know that people are going to feel bad for them, are going to send money, are going to make excuses, are going to seek out solutions for them, that person is never going to learn to grow on their own, to be responsible on their own, right? As big and wide as they are, they're never going to learn those things because they're being bailed out no matter what, right? That's why it does lead to dysfunction, Because every person needs to know their role and they need to function in it, right? But enmeshment creates this porous, he calls it porous and fluid boundaries, where they almost don't exist. Porous boundaries, they're almost not there. Okay, you might have a boundary or two, like, hey, you can't get that close or don't touch me. But otherwise, you're open. You're wide open. You can have any conversation. You can say anything. Facial expressions can be read from a mile away. Right? It's all of that. Okay. All right. So we're going to listen to the last few minutes of this. And then I'm going to move on to the next video, which is going to be Duchess Dior and her husband. Right? Now, I know we're at an hour and 15 minutes, but I'm going to try to go a little bit longer today just to sort of really finagle that algorithm. And because I'm in the mood, so why not? But let's listen to the last couple minutes about enmeshment.
They're very flexible, right? There's no steady, firm, consistent boundary. And I've seen this in families where there's sexual abuse, where there's extreme trauma, where there's neglect. I've seen it in situations where the parents have no boundaries in terms of talking to their kids about their sex life, their marriage, their behavior, dad's drinking problem. The kids are too brought in to the adult issues, and so the enmeshed parent begins to rely on the child for emotional support. They tell the child things to see what the child's feedback would be. They kind of look to the child as the other adult, as the rescuer, and somebody to step up and carry a job. And that's usually what happens to parentified children who are turned into the dads, who are turned into the mothers in the family after a divorce. This also is known in situations where the child becomes a surrogate wife or husband. So traumatic bonding.
So again, enmeshment happens when the boundaries are poor, and so they create these weird roles, right? And notice I spoke about my situation, and I spoke about how certain person had to fill in a certain role, right? Whether it be a caretaker, mother. This is why you have a lot of people who grow up and they become turned off to certain things like children and family, because when they were way too young, they were tasked with managing these things, right? Enmeshment puts poor expectations on somebody who really isn't ready for them, right? Including taking care of an infant, or taking care of like milking and things like that. All of those things kind of fall into the same category. All right, let's continue. Actually, I'm going to skip the rest of this video. All right, she talks about enmeshment quite enough for me. And we're going to move right into Duchess Dior. And this is why I said just pay attention to all of what we were just talking about, right? Enmeshment being this concept of using things that are not appropriate as mediums, right? Like being enmeshed with a family member, you might tell them things that maybe you shouldn't, right? A parent shouldn't detail the acts of their, sexual life to their children, and the reverse, right? Those things aren't normal. It is normal to talk about your relationships, maybe your marriage, your children, things like that are normal. But there are certain things that will be crossing the line. So let's see what was going on with Duchess Dior and her Frenchman bandit, and how things kind of went sideways this day for them. Right? Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. We're finally getting to the stories in the thumbnail. Otherwise, we'll get right into it.
The bitch really got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying? She really got me fucked up to the point where I ain't losing shit. Cause the same game she running on me, she did the same shit with her other baby daddy. And she had me so spent that I'm thinking that this nigga a real guy.
So I found his neck now, but a second ago I couldn't find a neck. So I was gonna ask you guys if you guys knew where his neck was. But let's continue.
That's some real bullshit. He did this. He doing all this. He doing that. But when it really come down to it, you see that pussy down there?
It's fat.
She can't keep it between her legs. But this is the thing about it.
I ain't fuck on you.
So here it is. Here it is. She keeps saying, "Oh, I ain't fuck on you while we were married." Here it is now. She done told me about the niggas supposedly before we got married. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, cool. Fuck it. When I was on the run and shit, I did my thing.
Listen, I don't know these people, and I don't know why they're telling us this. I have no idea who Duchess Dior or her boo, the Frenchman. I don't know who they are. But apparently they got online and they started airing each other out. You know, obviously he's saying, "Oh, she can't keep it. You see her coochie, she can't keep it between her legs." Right? So obviously they've been disputing about infidelity. I can bet you probably all the money that's in my left pocket right now, that he has been the one being unfaithful, and she probably now has started to return the favor because she's like, "Oh, okay, so we're just gonna play my face. Okay, so I'm single too. I'm gonna go sleep around." That's what a lot of women sometimes can do because they think it's like an equalizer. I'm gonna tell you this: do them the benefit of not moving on, but just leaving them. That is the best thing you can do because they're gonna be like, "Wait, she's not happy. I mean, she's happy without me, but also without anybody else." What? They're gonna be like, "I don't like that." Right? And okay, you might be with somebody else, but they don't need to know that. I just don't understand how the two of these people who I don't know them from a can of paint somehow ended up on Beyonce's internet telling us that either of them has been sleeping around. Let's continue though, right?
I fucked off real good. She ain't have shit. Bygones be bygones still. You know, you do your thing. Okay. I come back. That's when the shit happened with corn shit. So I get out of jail. When I get out of jail, I see the shit on the damn on the camera. So I asked her, I'm like, "Damn, so who this is?" So she's talking about, "Oh, it's a nigga, it's one of my homeboys from Augusta. He just got out the fed, this, that, the third." I would say you got a homeboy as soon as I got there, go to the county. And it's your homeboy. So then I asked, I say, "Damn, she leave that day with a spend the night bag." I see all this on the motherfucking camera. She leave with a spend the night bag. The bitch come back with some nigga clothes on, talking about this her homegirl clothes.
It was not nigga clothes. It was not nigga clothes. You're lying.
You feel me?
It was some big ass shorts, and it wasn't even. There was
So I got there until I said, man, to this day I said, man, I know it wasn't no damn nigga, no bitch. You got a nigga just telling you.
All right, so again, she's going out, sleeping with said man. He's airing her out. Why we are privy to this, I still don't know. Again, I don't know Duchess Dior. I don't know the Frenchman. I don't know their significance in the community or in the greater society. So I'm just trying to figure out why we are hearing these two people's toxic situation. Right? He's talking about, "Oh, she was with somebody that I knew and she's being out there just like a little skinkadoodle," right? That's essentially what he's saying. She's saying, "Well, no, he's saying. She's saying he's paying, because she wants to like brag on herself. But it's like, no, why would you give yourself to random people just because you want to spite a man? Bro, that's the worst you can do. Become a prude. I'm not trying to say like a person is bad because they go through that. I'm just saying like the best thing that you can do to that man is to not only ignore him, but just don't feel the need to rush into anything else. Like take your time, meet somebody who cares and respects you and your boundaries. You know, take your time. But you know, a lot of people just want to prove like, "Hey, I'm over you. I got somebody else," and that's kind of what happens. All right, let's continue.
Oh, let's get drunk. You leave. You come back the next day with some more clothes on, and you talking about you was at your homegirl house. You fit sleep it out. And this is the same person she used as an outlet every time she go off and do a thing. I had them in FaceTime. She talking about he will call her for the girl, her homegirl, cause her nigga goddamn call her. So you want to be out there on Captain Save a Friend and have this nigga goddamn calling your phone for her. So I got to answer. I grab the phone, I ask her who it is. She gonna tell me some random name. Y'all know how y'all do. So I got there, take the number, and I start putting it in my phone. The name pop up. I said, "Bitch, you a motherfucking lie." So here it is. I'm fresh out, and I ain't want to go back to jail. None of that shit. Though. So here it is. I'm asking her. I'm down here at the bottom. I'm like, "Damn, why would you do this?" You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hurt now. I'm like, "Damn, why the fuck you gonna do this?" So here it is. He got a look in her face. I ain't talking to that boy. I ain't talking to him. I ain't fucking. I told you who it for Snow. So here it is. The shit ain't adding up. You know what I'm saying? It ain't adding up. You feel me? So boom. After that, it come out. She talking to this dyke hoe that was at my ex job, the job that I got fired from. She called the police. She talking to this hoe. Then she talking to another old ass nigga. She talking to another nigga named Tim, old ass nigga, probably about 50 something years old. And
He's 47.
he comes around. He's supposed to be like a fucking counselor, whatever the fuck it may be. So long story short.
Long story short, he got me out of trouble.
So
Back in jail, going to jail.
So, only reason I go through the phone because shit, I need to know. I don't give a fuck about all y'all other niggas. I need to fucking know. So, but now I'm asking you, like, damn, what's really going on? Like, what the fuck? Like, oh, you gave it to me. You know that's the first thing. Oh, you gave it to me. Oh, you burnt me. You did this. You did that. That's the first thing she said. Now then, when the lady in Augusta did her paperwork, she didn't even do no test on the shit again because she said I can look at it and tell you right now what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's what that's gotta be. You're in the outbreak. They gave her some big ass goddamn pills that she got.
Oh my. So to me that sounds sorry to be brazen. It sounds like trichomoniasis. If she could look at you and see what it was. There was like the trichomes. But to me, like what's crazy about this is like why are they just comfortable on here? Like, oh yeah, I was mad at you, you gave me this, that, and the third. Talking to Kinfolk says, hey Flora, I miss you. It's been a minute. I miss you too. What is going on, boo? What's going on? I have been getting unacquainted with the bandit hood. I've just been kind of enjoying regular life, things like that. Hope you're doing well as well. But it's insane, that he's just sitting here airing out his legal wife. Because I believe these two were married. Duchess Dior and her little Frenchman bandit with a no neck. Hey Joshua. Joshua says like, share, subscribe, smash that notification bell on the way in, family. Yes, please do. Please do, right? Because over here we're going to have family conversations. We're going to have the tough conversations. We're going to get into all of it, all right? So, yeah, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, support. All that is appreciated. But yes, this is Duchess Dior and her little bandit. And they were just, these two were.
She don't give me the pills and all this shit.
I
Like, okay, cool.
wonder, like,
cool.
Would a therapist in front of them also recount all of this? Yeah, he deleted her and himself, Roswell. They're both deceased. Now, initially, he was able to get some distance between himself and the police, but yeah, not initially, he ended up deleting himself as well. So, yeah, they're both gone. But this is what I'm telling you, like, things can change in a flash. And because people are using the internet doesn't mean that it's safe, doesn't mean the interactions they're having are safe. All right, these are tricky situations. Robin M says, they said she allegedly gave him an STD. I didn't really keep up with this story. Yeah, there was a lot of alleged. A lot of it. But essentially, it was found out that he deleted her and then himself. Essentially, he died or he deceased of wounds self-inflicted. So, all right, let's continue with a little. Actually, I'm gonna move on to the Las Vegas couple because again, remember, the concept here was that people are using the internet as a medium, right? And just the way that man was using the internet with his wife, they were sort of doing conflict resolution on the internet, I guess, which doesn't make any sense, doesn't sound normal, but they were doing conflict resolution. On the internet by airing each other out. This case was a little bit different, right? This couple was popular live streamers. They did have copyright issues where Finn the Legend and Bubbles lost their original channel, so they were rebuilding. And I guess they just didn't like that. I guess the Mexican guy just didn't like that they were out here enjoying themselves. They were on live. They were obviously showing where they are, which I think is a scary thing to do today. You just don't know who's targeting you, who's looking for you. But they they streamed exactly where they were. So that man pulled up, and it ended up being recorded that he deleted them. The reason why I included this one in the live stream crimes is because at the end of the day, what are the odds that somebody would be brazen and bold enough to show up to where somebody is live streaming and delete them? You know, there has to be a whole thought process on the way to said location when they're thinking about doing this. But let's see what happened on that fateful night on the Las Vegas Strip near the Bellagio.
At first, everyone was just trying to look like, oh, maybe someone fainted. But then as police cars started coming over, everyone got very, very concerned.
And you are waking up to breaking news this morning from the overnight hours. 2 people are dead following a feud, according to authorities on social media, that just spilled into gunfire in front of the Bellagio fountains hours ago. Thank you for being here. I'm Kim Wagner. Our live team coverage continues this morning. Police still looking for the person who pulled the trigger, who the person responsible for the shooting. As you can see, it was quite chaotic right there in front of the Bellagio fountains as people were wrapping up having fun in our city. This happened right before the 11 o'clock hour last night. Our Andrew Nomura is on the case this morning. He is going to break down who they believe was involved in the online feud that possibly led to the deadly gunfire. And also News 3's Alora Lagarde is breaking down the timeline of how this all went down. Let's kick things off with Alora first. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Kim. We have been talking in these past few hours about what we have been seeing so far. It goes into this deadly shooting that happened, claiming the lives of 2 victims. Just to show you right now what we're seeing, Kim, we still have this area blocked off. We are at South Las Vegas Boulevard on the 3600 block. It goes all the way down to Flamingo. We have literally this whole entire area of the Strip is completely blocked off right now. But here's what we do know, Kim. Metro Police responded to a shooting on the Strip last night on the 3600 block of Las Vegas Boulevard near the Bellagio fountains around 10:40 p.m. Police ran towards the gunfire and found 2 victims on the ground suffering from gunshot wounds. Despite life-saving measures, both victims were pronounced dead on the scene. Here are the moments that police heard that gunfire, and we warn you, what you're about to hear and see might be disturbing. Police believe they have the suspect identified and that this is an isolated incident. Now, they also tell...
Yeah, this was really disturbing. I'm sorry, guys, for not instituting a trigger warning, but yes, trigger warning if you are catching this on the playback. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's really disturbing to be approached at all in that way. But obviously she was in shock. She was like, oh my God, like the fact that he started firing, in general. And all of this was over like social media beef. He was mad that they built a new channel and there was suddenly hundreds of people watching them again. And, the internet breeds weird people. Oh, yeah. Robin, this happened days ago, like a week now, or 2 weeks. Jeez. I feel like this just happened, but 2 weeks ago on Sunday, Finn the Legend and his wife Bubbles, they were streaming live in Las Vegas. And then this dude was like, throughout the day, he was like taunting them. He had a stream, very weird stream where he was like, I can't believe you're in my city, didn't ask for permission or didn't let me know. It's like, what are we, thugs? Like internet thugs? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? Could you guys hear me? Yeah, this is very recent. I don't know if you guys can hear me prior to that, but yeah, this is like a week or 2 old. Still very recent. But all right, let's continue.
tell us that this involved some sort of social media beef between the victim and the suspect. The Undersheriff Andrew Walsh spoke to us during a press conference at the scene last night. Here's a listen.
At this point, every effort is being made by members of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department to locate, apprehend, and arrest the suspect who is responsible for this crime.
Now, they have not identified the name of the suspect or the victims at this time, but we are still awaiting those answers. But what we can say is that it is a very somber feeling right now, having 2 lives being lost. We're now going to send it right on over to Andrew Nomura, who's going to give us a little bit more regarding that social media aspect to it. Andrew?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, tons of police presence here from our end. Currently right now at Las Vegas Boulevard and Flamingo, here on top of the pedestrian walkway, where we are getting our best vantage point of police presence here, as they have blocked off any entryway onto Las Vegas Boulevard in front of the Bellagio fountains. But just like you alluded to, Kim, Under Sheriff Walsh mentioning that this whole feud started on social media.
At this point, we believe we have the suspect identified and that this is an isolated incident, knowing that the suspect and the victim had previously engaged in some type of conflict using a variety of social media platforms.
Yeah, from what we can make out as we were doing our due diligence here, this apparently beef between what's called Sin City Manny, a YouTuber, also between Funny the Legend. Of course, this information not confirmed at this point, but doing some process journalism.
Not Funny the Legend. Yeah, it was Funny the Legend and some Sin City Mexican dude, whatever. But anyways, guys, so I'm going to do a part 3 because we have, after the after the Las Vegas couple, we're going to review some dusty stuff that I went through. Maybe we'll see. We have a Mexican creator who was deleted on live stream. And then we have a North Carolina man who was actually trying to clean up the streets, who was also deleted on live by people who were angry about him recording them committing crimes. All right, so on the next one, you guys will see me. I appreciate your viewership, you guys being here. I'm trying to keep these videos to about an hour and a half. I don't want to go crazy over that because it's hard for people to come back and watch it. I notice more people watching when they're less and late. So I will see you guys on the next one and play some music on the way out. Otherwise, bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow.
Battles got power, Florabella stands tall. Every drip, every drop, watch the haters fall. Channel sharp as thorns, ain't taking no mess. Scroll through her feet, feel that queen's finesse. Vine tangle tight, but Flora breaks free. Roots so deep, can't mess with her tree. From the mud she rises, roses from the dirt. Every comment section she lays down hurt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. From the garden green to the concrete wall, Florabella, unstoppable nature's child. Leaves whisper secrets, she's the loudest shout. From the channel buzzing, she never backs out. Seed of strength, through season she grows. In the face of doubt, her spirit glows. Cameras ain't a limit, she branches out. Thorns in her crown, she wears it no doubt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless.